What is going on, AFC East Roundtable, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Jets Roundtable. Now, you guys know me. I represent the New York Jets here on the channel, and we wanted to launch an expansion. And relax, Dolphins fans, Bills fans, Patriots fans. Your roundtable's coming, but I had to make sure the Jets Roundtable launched first, and that's why we are doing it today on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is going to be a weekly show, and I'm super excited to introduce the hosts of the Jets Roundtable with me. Now, coming up right next to me, you guys know him very well. He is part of the Monday night show here on the AFC East Roundtable, and that is Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. What's up, Ryan? How you feeling, baby?
What's good? Excited to talk some Jets. Excited to talk a little AFC East ball action. Looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it now, man. Now, listen, you're a little experienced of what it's like to be part of this roundtable, and I'm so excited to have our next two hosts of the Jets Roundtable. Give it up to Mr. Jake Asman, who just hit over 35,000 subscribers. He is an ESPN host. He is absolutely murdering the game of sports talk radio, and that is the great Jake Asman. Welcome to the show, Jake. How you doing?
I'm pumped, Richie. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this. I'm excited, and man, the subscriber number is great, but I would much prefer less subscribers if it meant the Jets weren't 4-7 right now. I'll tell you that much.
You know that, man. It's not easy to deal with these rival fan bases in the middle of this Jets collapse. It really is not, but I'm glad that you were a part of this, Jake. And last but not least, we got the great Matt O'Leary, the first YouTuber I actually ever collaborated with when I started my channel, a great friend of mine, a former Long Island native, Mr. Matt O'Leary, host of the Just Jets podcast, host of Talking Jets. Did I miss anything else, Matt?
No, I think you covered it all, man. I am excited to hop in here with all four of you, or three of you guys, and four including me, and talk some New York Jets football and try to get this thing back on track over here.
Yeah, listen, unfortunately for us, we are in the middle of trending towards a playoff push in terms of the NFL perspective, but from the Jets perspective, things are dwindling. We are on a 4-game losing streak. But at the same time, we have somebody who has returned. He's back, folks. His name is Aaron Rodgers. Now, I want to get your guys' thoughts, starting with you, Ryan, because Aaron Rodgers is on the practice field. His 21-day window is open. I mean, what's your feelings of this? Because me personally, I have more frustration than excitement that this Jets team cannot even stay afloat to give him an opportunity to do something magical. And hey, we're not mathematically eliminated yet, but still, it still feels far-fetched for me. So what's your feeling of seeing Aaron Rodgers trot out in that field this week for the Jets at practice?
Yeah, I guess it makes me feel good that he's, healed fast. I think that's really cool from the medical side of things, being able to come back from an injury this quickly, just like, Cam Akers. Although you got the concern of, Cam Akers retore his Achilles now. So maybe there's some level of concern for that. But I don't think I see Aaron Rodgers playing at all this season at this point in time. You needed to really be active in the playoff hunt for this to happen. And I think the little blurbs that we heard of, Aaron Rodgers is going to start practicing and he might come back. He's targeting that Commanders game on the 24th. It also happens to be the final home game for the New York Jets. So I think they're trying to sell tickets. I think you saw this as like a financial thing for the Jets more so than anything else. Because I think Rodgers is feeling pretty guilty from, a letdown perspective. Obviously he couldn't control his Achilles snapping and missing the entire season, but I think there was so much hope and so many careers that were tied to the success of this Jets team that he feels that he owes it to his buddy Nathaniel Hackett to come back and show what this offense can be. I think he owes it to the players. And I feel like there's a lot of hope here. But the financial side of things comes into play. And I think Woody not taking the $20 million insurance policy, them asking for fans to pay for their season tickets in November rather than February, and then trying to make this final push for the final home game of the season to not be a dud, I think is more so what we're trying to see, or more so what we're seeing right now. I don't think we're going to see him this year. I don't want to see him this year. I understand a few positives if he were to go out there, but I don't know if it outweighs the negatives that could happen since you're tied to him through next year anyway.
Interesting stuff. Jake, what goes through your mind when you see this? I mean,
too little, too late. I'm thrilled. And look, I think there's a couple conversations with Rodgers that should be happening. One, what he is doing is awesome, and he should be commended for it. Like his commitment to the Jets, the fact he gave back $35 million of his own money, the fact that he's been to most of the games since his injury, the fact that he is clearly all in and has been a great teammate, despite what Emmanuel Acho or Lavernius Coles wants to say. Like anyone who's been in the building or players that you talk to will tell you he's been the man for those guys. And I do think Ryan made a good point. I think he does have some guilt over him going down. He kind of referenced it 2 weeks ago on McAfee that he feels responsible for, Zach Wilson being benched because he wasn't supposed to play at all this year. He was supposed to learn behind him. So I think that's all part of it. Look, until they get that 8th loss, I'm still going to root for wins and say, hey, even if they can win 2 of the next 3 and they're 6-8 at that Commanders game, and he wants to come back, I guess we'll see what the deal is. But I think he deserves so much credit, and the fact that he is on the precipice of returning should bode well for next year. It's a year where he didn't take any hits. It's a year where his arm is still going to be electric. He's still going to be committed to the team for at least another year. They've already said that. So, if you want to believe this team could be very good next year, and I still think they can, I think Rodgers is obviously the main component to all that. So I think that should be acknowledged, while also acknowledging that if they are pretty much out of it by the time he's cleared for contact, probably doesn't make sense to play him. But I'll see where they are at that point, and we'll go from there.
Interesting stuff. I agree with all your takes there, Jake. Matt, Aaron Rodgers back, man. I know that you tweeted out something that I loved, and you're like, this is the best thing we've seen since week 1, and that makes me so sad because of how true it is.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, right? Like we have a guy in a sweatshirt and a red jersey throwing the football, and that's the most exciting thing that we've seen offensively since week 1 when he first came out. And look, it's really unfortunate what happened with this offense after he went down. And I think his return, right, or him getting back to practice now, while I think it's awesome for him that he is back into a point where he can do things like we're seeing right now on the football field, but it's hard not to feel like the what if, man, I don't know, figure out a way to beat Vegas, figure out a way to beat the Chargers, who seem like they can't beat anyone but the Jets right now. And you're right in the mix, but it feels like they're out of it because of how poorly they've played offensively. So while a part of me is very excited to see him back, on the practice field and throwing the ball around, I also feel like, man, this is also a missed opportunity because of just how bad they've been the last few weeks.
It's so hard for me to get excited for this, Matt, and you just hit it right there. If we just figured out a way to beat the damn Raiders or even the Chargers, who are collapsing after we lost to them, beat one of the Dolphins and the Bills. I know it's asking for a lot after what we've seen from this offense, but it's just we couldn't even give this guy a chance to do something miraculous. We couldn't even give us some sliver of hope. Now we're sitting here at 4-7, 4-game losing streak, and we'll get deeper into that. Now let's get into the super chats. We got Rat Diddy, who is a great subscriber. Met him over there in Vegas. Jake knows Rat Diddy very well. With the $5, says, man, this stud roundtable of greats gonna be lit. Yeah, Rat Diddy, we appreciate you tuning in to the first episode of the Jets Roundtable. William gifted one AFC East Roundtable membership. Well, congratulations to whoever William gifted the membership to. We appreciate you, William. VR, another great that we met over there in Vegas. Superhero panel equals Avengers Unite.
Love that.
I like that. VR, we appreciate you big time. Tony, another very consistent supporter of the roundtable, says family, big Jets fan. Appreciate you, Tony. And last but not least, we got Henny. Now, this is a roundtable I like to see. Now, this guy Henny is one of the most loyal Jets fans I know, who is on every single one of our chats for every single live show. I mean, I don't think I've seen, every time I'm in one of your shows, I see Henny in there. Every time I'm live, I see Henny in there. The guy's a legend. I absolutely love it. So, folks, if you're not already subscribed to the AFC East Roundtable, make sure you do so. And don't forget to like this stream, but also show some support. Ryan's channel is linked down below. Jake's channel is linked down below, as well as Matt O'Leary's channel is linked down below. Show them some love and subscribe to their channels. Now, before we go into more Jets talk, guys, I want to talk about the AFC East as a division, because I had to give, the Dolphins fans their light. Because, yes, they are in first place in the division. They beat the New York Jets. We were coming off a game where the Jets got embarrassed, unfortunately, on Black Friday, getting obliterated. And in the second half, in embarrassing fashion. So we'll give the Miami Dolphins their blight here. And I want to get your guys' thoughts around the table about them, right? You could talk about that Jets-Dolphins game matchup and also your overall expectations from the Miami Dolphins. Do you actually think that the Dolphins, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division. I think we can all agree with that. But are they going to make a run in the playoffs? And do you see them making a Super Bowl run? Because this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations that want to go all the way because they have a window to win, and their window to win is right now. We'll start off with you, Matt. What's your overall take of the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. They're going to run away with this division right now. The Patriots are awful. The New York Jets are awful on offense and not competitive. And the Buffalo Bills don't look like their normal self, and they're sitting at 6-6, and they don't look like a team that's going to make the playoffs. But I don't know if I'm sold on Miami making a run all the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, they have a stellar offense, but they got to beat some of these quality teams first before I really start to buy into it. And I think they, as we said, they're a team that's going to run away with this division, but I just am not bought in that they are in the same category as the Chiefs or the Ravens or one of those teams.
I wish Shady Finstock was here to respond. Jake, what's your thoughts about the Miami Dolphins this year? Do you have any expectations of them going far, or you don't think so?
I mean, they had to at least win a playoff game, right? I mean, it's only been since 2000 since they last accomplished that. Like, that's the thing. As bad as the Jets have been, at least I've seen the Jets win multiple playoff games in my lifetime. A lot of Dolphins fans probably don't even remember the last time they won a playoff game. So that's the first step for them in a year in which they're supposed to go to the Super Bowl, right? They're 8-3. They're right there with some of these other 8-3 teams. Very good team. Need to see them beat a team with a winning record. Need to see them beat a team that is actually supposed to be on their level before I anoint them. I could see them winning at least one playoff game. They better. Because if they don't, it's clearly a failed season. But I still think if you're ranking AFC teams, I probably would have them 3 or 4 if I'm being fair. Doesn't mean they can't be better, but I kind of got to see it to believe it. Plus, I think a big question with the Dolphins, and I give Tua tremendous credit. He's been healthy to this point. Can he truly make it through the rest of the year upright? And until I see it for a full season, I'm just kind of waiting to see if he could truly stay durable throughout the remainder here. So very good team, give them credit, but they better at least win one playoff game because they haven't done that since I think 2000.
At least the Jets make runs when they make the playoffs. 6 playoff wins since they've won their last, but that's neither here nor there. Ryan, your thoughts about these Miami Dolphins? Are they going far in this play? Are they winning a playoff game? Like, are they? That's what they need to do.
It would be a failed season if they didn't. This is a franchise that is reeling from not having a playoff victory since, like Jake said, 2000. But this is a team that's only won the division when they had Tom Brady go down for the season and Aaron Rodgers go down for the season. I mean, just look at it. The Jets took them. It was 10-6 before a crazy freak play at the end of last week's game. Like, you're telling me you're playing the lowly Jets and it's 10-6 about to go into halftime, and you need a Hail Mary from the 4th string quarterback to run it back all the way the other way to make this like kind of go out of our realm of scoring potential. Look, our offense, if we had some semblance of an offense, I don't think Miami would be the division leader right now. And I think that they're going to get one win in the playoffs and they're going to get bounced. I think they're not as good as Baltimore. I think they're not as good as the Chiefs. And they just need to beat quality opponents. I don't think that their offensive struggles have really been figured out just yet. It seems like since the Chiefs game with them that they're not quite clicking on all the cylinders they were clicking at the beginning part of the season. So they're going to win the division. I don't know if they're going to go farther than the divisional round, to be honest. I think they should, based on the caliber of player they have on that offense and how they've been playing throughout the course of the season. But like Jake said, I think Tua's health is a major factor, as well as the proof of them beating an elite caliber team for a full 60 minutes.
Absolutely love it, because you know what Ryan brings? The Dolphins fans calling him a clown. But we also got a Ravens fan objectively saying this guy's speaking facts. So you know what I mean, Ryan?
Yeah, see?
That's what it's about. You know what? That's why I was really excited for this Jets roundtable, because I wanted to make sure we talked about the AFC East beyond the Jets, because I know that we have a lot of people tuning in that's going to have some interesting opinions in the chat, and that was freaking awesome. So, Jets roundtable off to a good start already. Jetpack with the super chat says the Mount Rushmore of Jets content. Well, salute to you, Jetpack. We appreciate you, and I'm very humbled to be joined by these 3 great Jets content creators, because this is an awesome time, man. Awesome time. Now, my thoughts of the Miami Dolphins, I mean, I spoke on it already this week, but listen, man, they have to win beyond one playoff game, because TD Finstock was saying on the channel that this is their opportunity. Tua has a chance here And if the Miami Dolphins want to extend Tua after the season, this is the most talented roster Tua will ever have. Because you got Tyreek, you got Bradley Chubb, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got all these guys on big contracts, right? You're still paying guys like Jalen Waddle cheap on rookie contract, Holland cheap, Phillips cheap, unfortunately going down for the season this year. But this is the best roster Tua will have because when you pay Tua, all of a sudden, all those contracts are going to walk out the door. You see what's going on with the Buffalo Bills now. Josh Allen's contract's kicking in, and they don't have a lot of talent around him, and it's all falling apart. So the Miami Dolphins, congrats if you win a playoff game. But you got to win a Super Bowl because what are you going to do? You make it to the AFC Championship, you lose. You make it to the division round, you lose. And then it's 2025, and you're stuck with a Tua overpaid quarterback with not a lot of talent around him. And listen, man, I'm just speaking off of what I'm hearing from my buddy, TD Finns talk. It sounds like they are in a Super Bowl or bust window. And it's not like they will be satisfied. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll get the monkey off their back if they win a playoff game and they can say, oh, finally, we don't have to hear when our last playoff win was. Maybe that will be a positive for you guys, but at the end of the day, without a Super Bowl championship, and listen, Jets fans can't speak on that, right? We have one Super Bowl win back in Super Bowl III, but Buffalo Bills can't speak on that either because they have 0, and that goes right into the Buffalo Bills, huh? But before we do that, we got a super chat from Dylan saying, if we win 2 straight, do you see AR coming back for the Dolphins game or waiting until Christmas Eve? Great question, Dylan. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Jake, I'll start off with you. If the Jets somehow, some way win their next 2 games at MetLife against Atlanta and Houston, can you see AR coming back for that Dolphins game?
So I actually could, because I heard from someone who's very good at kind of like talking to people in the know that he thinks Rodgers, if he's cleared, obviously that's the big thing, he could come back for the Dolphins game because it's a grass surface and it's warm weather. And it might be, if he's cleared, a more ideal scenario for him to return to than playing in the cold on Christmas Eve if he's going to come back on the MetLife turf, and then a short week against the Browns, another cold weather team. So I thought that was an interesting point. But here's the thing. Are the Jets really going to win 2 straight right now? They've averaged 8.5 points per game their last 5 games. So I don't see it. I'd love to be wrong, but I think there's so many factors at hand. Plus, he's still got to be cleared, which he's not. So if I'm making a guess, I'll say no, but I don't think it's improbable that he maybe could return for that game if they win the next 2. A lot has to happen, though.
Matt, how about you? Jets win the next 2, and all of a sudden we're at, 6-7. Rodgers returning against Miami or no?
They got to score points first. Like, I would love to get into I'd love to talk about like, hey, this Aaron Rodgers return if they win the next 2. Like, Atlanta on paper, that is a team that they should be able to beat. But I just have 0 faith in this offense with Nathaniel Hackett and Tim Boyle and pretty much any weapon not named Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson over there. So I would love to say that, yes, there's a world where Aaron Rodgers could come back in a couple of weeks, but I don't know how they're not 4-9 or maybe at best 5-8 at that point. So I'm just not buying in until they actually show me they can get in the end zone a couple times.
Asking for the bare minimum. Score 2 touchdowns and have Greg Zuerlein kick 3 field goals, and we'll win. Ryan, any chance of this hypothetical that Dylan came up with?
No, not happening. Tim Boyle's our quarterback right now. We're not scoring enough points to beat the Falcons. This Falcons game could be like a 3-0 stinker. Like, that's what I'm expecting. If the first team to 6 points might just win that game. And like, I don't have any faith that we're going to beat the Falcons. I don't have any faith that we're going to beat the hot Texans right now. And I sure as shit do not want to see Aaron Rodgers come back right now. I think the Jets are all in on tanking because if they were not, they'd be playing Trevor Siemian. I think Boyle is clearly not a good quarterback, and they're okay trotting him out week after week. And I think the main issue is Hackett more than anything else. But I don't see Rodgers coming back for the Dolphin game.
Life of Oz says, incoming Von Miller to the Jets, #Go Bills. Don't bring your...
No, he's going to the Dolphins, right? He's beating up pregnant people. Isn't that their MO down there?
Yeah, I mean, why are you bringing the Jets into this? That's a Buffalo Bills mess. The Miami Dolphins had to deal with that. There's nothing to do with the Jets, all right? Enough with that nonsense, Life of Oz. Come on. No, what are we doing here? Speaking of Buffalo Bills, I said before, and now maybe half of it's right, half of it's wrong, but still a correct statement that I said. I said that the Buffalo Bills will not win the division this year, and their 3 straight division titles will come to an end. And I said it will either be the New York Jets, unfortunately I was wrong with that, or the Miami Dolphins that will win the division. And I happen to be correct. And people will call me a hater, and I was saying it just based off what I've saw from the Bills in the offseason and how I've seen Josh Allen play. So I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts of these Buffalo Bills. The Jets split with the Bills. They're at 6-6. Now, their playoff hopes are not dead because you look at the 7 seed rather in the AFC. It's the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they're 6-5. The Bills are 6-6. The 7 seed is wide open, and the Bills still have a chance to make the playoffs. So I want to get your guys' thoughts of the Buffalo Bills. Do you think there's a chance that they can actually, spark some life now with this controversy with Von Miller sparking up? They fired their coordinator, which worked against the Jets, but they still lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you think that the Buffalo Bills have a chance here to go on a run and squeeze in the playoffs in the wild card? Jake, we'll start off with you.
No, I don't. I think their schedule is brutal. I think the injuries they've been dealing with now with Von Miller probably not playing again this year, given what he's allegedly accused of. I don't think they're good enough. I don't. Josh Allen is still great, but he's been a little inconsistent this year at times. Obviously, the offense as a whole has, which is why they made the change at the offensive coordinator. I just don't think they have enough to get it done. I mean, if they had a softer schedule, maybe, but not with what I'm seeing right now at 6-6. I don't see it.
Their schedule is brutal after the bye. I mean, talk about a brutal schedule. It's what the Jets already went through, by the way. But Matt, what's your thoughts about the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, they'll be 6-8 in a couple weeks. I don't see them beating either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Dallas Cowboys. That's an incredibly, incredibly tough ask, and they're just not the same team without Matt Milano and Trey White. I think both those guys make a huge difference on that defense, and something is very, very wrong in Buffalo right now. Obviously, for them to be at 6-6 is a little bit of a surprising thing, but they have a bye week to maybe figure some stuff out. But Kansas City and Dallas coming out of the bye is a tall task.
Josh Allen, Ryan, your assessments of him as well as the Bills. Like, is Josh Allen a top quarterback in the league, or is he trash?
Josh Allen trash.
Josh Allen trash.
Look, the Bills aren't going to make the playoffs, and here's why. You have, like Matt said, Milano and Trey White out. As soon as those guys were done, I kind of wrote them off. You're losing 2 major factors in your defense, and Josh Allen. In order to win, it's the catch-22, the ultimate catch-22 for Buffalo. In order to win, they need Allen to go off, but in order to do that, you need to allow him to make mistakes, and that's usually the crippling mistake that ends up losing them a game in some capacity. This past week, it was the Gabe Davis miscommunication with Allen. They had the opportunity. They weren't able to make it, all click together. I think the Bills window is slamming shut. Allen's money is starting to hit right now, and I think you're starting to see a little bit of the unwinding. Last year with Stefan Diggs, I think that might come to a head in a little bit, especially if they start losing a few more of these tough games down the way. For an AFC that has seen Burrow go down for the year and Watson go down for the year, and somehow the Steelers continuing to win, this should have been a year that Buffalo easily made the playoffs, and I think their door is slamming completely shut on their Super Bowl window.
And man, it's sad that we can't be part of the downfall of the Buffalo Bills because we are still below them, and that still makes me sick. Now, the Buffalo Bills, we beat them week 1 in that miraculous fashion. Aaron goes down, Gibson returns it, and then the rematch, the Bills got us back, got the revenge. The game where Zach Wilson gets benched, Tim Boyle trots out there. So listen, I think that the Buffalo Bills, you look at their cap space next year, it's like negative $25 million or something like that, and they got a steep climb to really kind of, develop a foundation, because in order to be a successful franchise with an expensive quarterback, you got to be able to draft well. And the Bills have not proven. I mean, listen, they're not terrible at drafting, but they got to hit on a lot of their picks. Their first round pick a couple years back here, Elam, is obviously nothing good. They trade for Rasul Douglas for a reason. So the Bills, they got. And also, just to let you guys know this, I don't know if you know this, but Bills fans, not every Bills fan, but I would say majority of Bills fans want Sean McDermott fired. Like, they're over him. They hate him. They want McDermott gone. And, like, as a Jets fan, I always looked at Sean McDermott. I was like, damn, like, that's a darn good coach. Like, if only the Jets can find a consistent head coach that can, bring them as consistent AFC champions. But now Bills fans are done with him, and they want him gone. So I find that very interesting. Now, transitioning into the basement of the division, it feels good that it's not us, the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots are doing something that Jets fans are unfortunately very familiar with, and as tanking. We went through this many times. The hashtag tank for Trevor turned into tank for Zach, unfortunately for us in the grand scheme of things. And they had a tank bowl game this past weekend, and they happened to win the tank bowl. That was against the New York Giants. So I want to get your guys' thoughts. Jake, when it comes to these Patriots downfall, like, are you able to just enjoy it? Or is that loss against the Patriots still sitting in your mind? Or are you fearful that the Patriots will get one of these top-tier quarterbacks for the future? Or you're like, screw all that. The Patriots are an absolute dumpster fire, and I'm loving every second of it.
Oh, without question, I'm enjoying it. I mean, here's the thing, right? They are a dumpster fire, and it continues to taint the legacy of Bill Belichick, who is not bad without Tom Brady. He is abysmal without Tom Brady. Hall of Famer, great coach, all that, way more Brady than Belichick. And you talk about winning the divorce. Every year, Belichick continues to coach. It's going to continue to get worse and worse for him. So, yes, I'm enjoying it. I am also still disgusted that the Jets allowed Zach Wilson to lose that Week 3 game to them, because if they just had that one win right now, if the Jets all of a sudden were 5-6, the whole tenor of the season would potentially be different. So that's always going to haunt me. But I'm not worried about them tanking properly and getting a quarterback, because I've learned it's all a crapshoot anyway, right? Everyone killed the Texans last year for winning that last game. They didn't even want C.J. Stroud. They tried to get Bryce Young. They tried to trade up for him. They couldn't. So they settled for Stroud, and now look what happened. So it's all random. It's all a crapshoot. If they get Caleb Williams or Drake May, we have no idea if they're going to be any good. It's so much more than just you have a top pick and you take a quarterback and it all works out. So that doesn't concern me. And I want the Jets to beat them the last week of the year, because I want to stick it to Belichick on his way out. You can't even beat the Jets anymore. So I hope the Jets do win that last game, regardless who the quarterback is at that point. And if it helps them get a higher draft pick, whatever. Belichick's gone. He's leaving. He's going to a different team, and his final memory is going to be losing to the Jets. So sign me up. I despise the Patriots. Their fans are arrogant. They're the worst. I will drink all your tears. Please send them my way, because, I mean, your coach is a fraud, and him being exposed is phenomenal. I love it.
Jake, is the Patriots your least favorite team in the division, or?
By far. Yeah, I hate Patriots.
And fan base?
I hate the fans, hate the team, despise Belichick. I went to school with a bunch of Patriots fans. They all suck. I mean, they're terrible. I think Jets fans, Dolphins fans, and Bills fans can agree. If you're not sitting here enjoying the demise of the mighty Patriots, the Patriot way, then you're not really an AFC East fan. So it's been enjoyable. As bad as the Jets are, we know we're bad. The Patriots fan, they don't even know what to do with themselves. They expect to win every year. Well, now you're trash for the 4th year in a row. So sorry. I mean, welcome to quarterback hell. You know, we meet every Tuesday.
Oh, gosh. That's sad and true. Matt, how are you feeling about these Patriots? Are you happy to see them at the bottom of the division finally?
Yes, I definitely am. One of my good friends is a Patriots fan, and we text every weekend, and he's like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, this real football fandom is not for him, because they're so used to just decades of absolute dominance. Although I will say, I am definitely a little bit more concerned than Jake is about them coming away with either Caleb Williams or Drake May. I would like them to win a couple random games to put them in the, I don't know, like the quarterback 3 debate. I want them in no man's land. I don't want them to have a top 3 pick. I want them to pick like 5th and have to decide, are we going to take Michael Penix or Bo Nix, or are we just going to run it back with Mac Jones? They could use a few more years of purgatory before a lottery ticket on a potential stud quarterback.
Yeah, that's the bittersweet part about this, is like, they're losing, but Patriots fans are happy about it. They're not happy about it, that they're tanking. It's just, it's an overall mess. Ryan, your thoughts about these Patriots collapsing before your eyes?
It's nice. I've been waiting for the demise for a long time. These are a bunch of fair weather fans. They lose Tom Brady, and a bunch of them jump to Tampa Bay now.
Yep.
And then, we're losing. They don't even tune in. Like, Jet fans and even Bills fans and even Dolphins fans, like, through the bad years, you had people showing out and at least supporting the team. Patriot fans, fair weather fans across the board. As far as, like, do I want them to continue losing in the capacity they are? Honestly, I'm with Matt. I don't want them to get a top 2 pick. I understand the crapshoot. Like, I get that Caleb Williams isn't necessarily a lock to be a great quarterback. Neither is Drake May. And I would argue that I like some of the quarterbacks that are not named May and Williams in this draft more than them. But I very much would like to see them stuck in quarterback purgatory for a while. I want them, honestly, if they could win 5 or 6 games each year, that's what I want. I don't want to see them bottom out, because now their franchise has hope, because they do have a bright future. They have this young franchise quarterback that's likely coming in. They have a new regime on the horizon. They're going to have a ton of salary cap space. So they have a light at the end of the tunnel. This is like us watching the final year of Gase. You're waiting for him to leave so you could hit the reset button. So there is a bright future for New England. But as far as the last game of the season goes, I want what hurts them more. And I don't think Belichick gives 2 hoots about the Patriots. I think he wants to try and win to screw over their draft selection because he's out of there. I think for it to mean a lot to me would be to hurt the Patriot fan base and the Patriot franchise. And that's by the Jets losing, helping us get the offensive lineman that I think we're going to need by that point. Because I think there's a good shot if we win that last game of the season, you're going to be stuck maybe a little bit beyond the Joe Alt and the Olu Fashanu range. And I don't think winning that game with Trevor Siemian or Tim Boyle is going to be like I can't believe we did it. This is so great. That gets that monkey off my back. I'm sorry. I'll wait one more game and let Rodgers do it next year. Now, if you're saying Rodgers is going to come back for the final game of the season and he's going to play the Patriots, I can get myself up for that, because at the very least I can say, well, maybe the offense is going to look good next year, or Rodgers looks legit. We can hit the ground running next year. Like, there's a few things I could see from a win perspective if certain circumstances are hit, but I don't think Rodgers is playing again. And I don't want to win a hollow victory against the Patriots, because it's not going to mean anything to me, and they're going to want it.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting that we have to even debate, do we want to beat the Patriots? Do we not want to beat the Patriots? The reality is we want to beat the Patriots and make the playoffs, but that's not where we're at. We're already talking draft and talking about getting a better draft selection. I can't believe we're here again. I mean, can we just why? How?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Well, I know why we're here. The obvious answer is Aaron going down, but like, how sad is it that that's where we're here? We're not going to go down there. I don't want to get upset with you guys, but. Listen, man, the state of the AFC East is very interesting. The Miami Dolphins are about to win the division for the first time in a long, long, long time. And the New York Jets are going through this period that is just, it's weird, because there is so much high expectations and buzz around this team beyond the fan base. It was nationwide. It was the NFL. It was Hard Knocks. It was every single NFL Network show, ESPN show was talking about the New York Jets. And to be honest, they're still doing it because of Aaron Rodgers returning. And the fact that here we are today, wasting this elite New York Jets defense with this incompetent offense drives me insane. And it's sad for me to ask you guys the question, but I have to, because this is what we have to wrap our heads around, the draft. I can't believe it. It's November 30th, and I'm asking questions about the draft. Sad, sad, sad. Now, I have a feeling that Jets fans, do I have a feeling? It's every year. Every year, there's a debate amongst our own fan base of where we want to go in the draft. And I'm curious where you guys stand on this, because, I'm hearing some people say 100% offensive tackle, best offensive lineman available. There's another section of the fan base that's like, are you kidding me? We need a franchise quarterback. Zach Wilson's not it. And we don't have anybody to replace Rodgers in the future. Who's our franchise quarterback after Rodgers? Let's go draft the best quarterback available. And then other people are saying, maybe, get a wide receiver and maybe the tight end. I know there's a lot of different, this early in the draft process, it's really hard to evaluate because you don't even know where the Jets are selecting. So, Jake, I want to start off with you. Would you want the Jets to draft a quarterback if they're, they like the quarterback, or would you rather them go all in for Aaron Rodgers, get him an offensive tackle for 2024?
So I want them to draft the quarterback, but not in the first round. I think if it's a day 2 pick or day 3 pick, I'm certainly on board with that. And the reason why is twofold. One, this regime needs to win next year. And if they don't win, they're out of a job. So if they draft someone in the first round that's a quarterback and it doesn't go well next year and everyone's gone, well, then the new regime comes in with a quarterback they didn't draft. And then what? Like, you're the Bears with Justin Fields, and a regime they didn't draft and that eventually is going to move on. You're kind of like the Giants now with Daniel Jones, where they were going to move on from him, but he played well enough to give him the money. And now it's like, well, he's not really our guy long-term, but we're kind of stuck with him because we're going to win enough games where we can't get his replacement. So I look at it like you take a flyer on a quarterback you like, whether that's someone on day 2 or day 3, or you trade up for someone. I'm on board with that. But next year's got to be all about winning. It's got to be all about, what this year was supposed to be. You have Rodgers for at least next year, maybe the year after. We'll see. And you owe it to this fan base, and you owe it to the entire team to be all in to try and win next year. And it's a great receiver class. It's a great tackle class. no matter where they end up picking, they're going to be in position to get one of those guys. I think that's so much more important than, potentially drafting someone in the first round who's going to sit all year. Plus, you're already going to spend way more money on a backup quarterback. So can you really have a high first round pick that doesn't play, an expensive backup, and Rodgers all on your team? I don't think it fits the timeline for the Jets, so I wouldn't do it.
Interesting. Matt, where are you headed with the draft so far in your early process of the mock drafts?
Man, this Jake Asman guy is pretty good. He was going to say what I was going to say, man. You got to go with some piece to help out the 2024 offense. This is the worst offense in the NFL. And there's a lot of reasons for that. We could talk about quarterback play, Hackett. You could talk about, weapons outside of Garrett and Brees. And it's all part of the reason why they are struggling. I understand fans who are nervous about the future after Aaron Rodgers and finding the next guy. But you also have to try. Like, you brought in Aaron Rodgers to try to win. And you can't just punt that away because after 4 plays, he got hurt, and now you're nervous about going forward. That's not to say that you can't draft someone in the 3rd round. They have another pick in round 3. You could package picks and move up back into round 2 if there's someone falling that you really like. That's fine. I'm okay with adding someone at some point in the draft. But that first rounder, with the need that they have specifically at tackle, to me, tackle probably makes the most sense. I am also on board with wide receiver if they prefer to go that route and tackle in free agency. There we go. But I think it's got to be a piece to help out the 2024 offensive unit.
Ryan, I'm assuming you're in agreement with Jake and Matt?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely team offensive lineman. It would be my priority first, but I'm definitely down to get Marvin Harrison Jr. if by some miracle the Jets have a top 5 pick and he's sitting there. I think there's other ways to build the offensive line, but I would be shocked if we didn't go either Fashanu or Alt or Latham. Seems like the 3rd guy on the list right now for tackles in the top 10. But I would also be down with a trade down. And if you want to maybe convince me to take a quarterback because you've acquired assets and a trade down, I'm okay with that. But I tend to lean the same way these guys do. Round 3 at the earliest for me is really what I would feel comfortable taking a quarterback. And honestly, I would even go a little bit later because I like surrounding us with offensive weapons, whether it's wide receivers or offensive linemen. This is a really good class for both those 2 position groups. So to spend a 3rd round pick even on a quarterback is probably a little less desirable when I can kind of look at Zach. I know as much as that's like kind of sacrilegious to say, but like Zach's upside, I would almost just feel fine rolling with him with, quarterback 3 at that point based on talent alone. I would like to bring in a backup quarterback in free agency, like a Brissett or a Minshew or maybe a Baker Mayfield if he'd accept the backup role. Someone that could be like that Geno Smith level quarterback that could have a second coming in his career, like Geno is in Seattle, that provides you a bridge beyond Rodgers in the event the panic situation happens where Rodgers is not the guy for next year. One benefit of seeing Rodgers play on the field this year is at least you get to see what he looks like in this offense. Hackett has never called plays for Rodgers before. It was LaFleur out in Green Bay. So does that change anything? Does Rodgers being 2 years removed from a good quality season change anything? Like, we might be signing on for an all-in Rodgers season and then kind of get screwed by passing on maybe the next Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels or something. Like, there is some level of wanting to see what Rodgers looks like out there, but I think we are so committed to next season that, like Jake said, if you take the quarterback in the 1st round this year and you swap regimes, now you're either fitting your regime to fit the quarterback or you're bringing in the best possible regime who may not want that quarterback, and it winds up being a wasted pick anyway. So I'm out on quarterback in the 1st round, barring like a trade down and, an influx of other talent.
Well, I saw the vision. Devontae Adams, you are a New York Jet. And the New York Jets draft offensive tackle. And we win the Super Bowl next year. Oh, the delusion feels good. I'm drinking the juice all over again. Aaron coming back. I blame you for being on the field and spinning the ball around, and I blame the Jets for showing me that video because now the delusion is fueling me again. It's a joke, guys. Relax, everyone in the chat. Gosh, at least do us a favor and hit the like button, guys. We got 125 likes with 272 people watching. If you guys are enjoying the first ever episode of the Jets Roundtable, a new show launched here on the AFC East Roundtable YouTube channel presented by Roundtable Sports Network, we'd appreciate it if you guys can simply smash that thumbs up button because that tells us that you guys are enjoying the show here. And we are excited to do this every single week here on the AFC's Roundtable. And Dolphins fans, don't worry, your Dolphins Roundtable's coming. We're trying to figure out which hosts are going to represent Miami, as well as Buffalo, and as well as the New England Patriots. We got a call the Patriots Roundtable like Tank Watch or something, because what the heck are they going to be talking about? Are we serious about that? But let's get into this week's matchup, because, we're talking about April here, but there is a game coming up. If you guys forgot, because I kind of forgot. I'm used to like really looking forward to Jets games every week, but now I'm not anymore. Tim Boyle versus Desmond Ridder. Well, before we get into that, we got a huge dono from Project Prospect with Dom C. Dom, my guy Dom. Salute to you, Dom. We appreciate that. $20 big time dono in the chat for you, my friend. We get a round of applause. Unpopular opinion, pass on a quarterback, secure a good backup for Aaron Rodgers next year via free agency, and use your capital in 2023 elsewhere. If the season flops to 24, JD and staff will be gone. Let new regime handpick their quarterback. Well, this is not unpopular, Dom, because I'm pretty sure we all said this. So we're all in unison with you, my man. I am all in on that. I think that, all the hype heading into this season with Aaron Rodgers, I cannot let go to waste. Like, I need to see what Aaron with this team would look like, because we can all agree, and it's just a broken record. I feel like I've said this way too many times where I'm even losing my mind, is that we don't need our offense to be top 10, top 5 to be a playoff team. We need them to be literally mediocre with how good the defense has been playing this season. And I think Aaron Rodgers, even with this team, can put together a mediocre offense. And that just means being like 20th, maybe 17th, and that will move the needle for me. So I think the Jets would be smart to, go all in, draft an offensive tackle, trade for Devontae Adams, potentially get weapons for the guy, build up that offensive line, and just give this, regime another opportunity with Aaron Rodgers. Because if you guys saw the report from Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, and Dom, again, thank you so much for the generous super chat. He said that Saleh, Hackett, Douglas ain't going nowhere, right? Because a lot of people are calling for those three people's jobs, more specifically Hackett and Saleh, and then some people still want Douglas gone. But it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere. And I just want to, before we get into this week's game against the Falcons, want to get your guys' thoughts of that. Jake, what's your overall assessment of the coaching staff? And do you think it's smart for them to keep them for another season to run it back with Aaron Rodgers?
Everyone wants someone's head on a stick, and I get it. And look, if they end the year, on a 10-game losing streak after they ended last year on a 6-game losing streak, I get it. You could certainly argue that you blow the whole thing up, but that would be my thing. It's not one or the other. This can't be what happened with the end of the Rex Ryan, Mike Tannenbaum era, where you fired Tannenbaum but kept Rex, and then brought in a GM who didn't really want Rex as his coach, who was trying to tank away that season, and then you won too many games, was stuck with Rex, and then eventually it doesn't work out, and you blow the whole thing up, and that's a big reason why the Jets are in the mess right now. You either keep both or you get rid of both. And I think if you truly ask yourself, can the Jets win next year with this regime? I think the answer is yes. They obviously need Aaron Rodgers back. They obviously need a better backup in case he does get hurt. But if they add a number 2 receiver and a legitimate tackle, you mean to tell me with the rest of the roster in a wide open AFC, they're not going to be right there, especially given the state of their own division, right? The Buffalo Bills right now, the arrow's trending downward. They might have a new coaching staff in place. The New England Patriots stink. The Dolphins are good, very good team, but let's see them beat some teams with winning records first. Let's see how far they go this year if we're truly going to feel like they're this great team. So I don't think the Jets are that far away with their defense and a healthy Aaron Rodgers and some improvements from having a chance to at least be a playoff team next year. If you start all over, what does that mean for Rodgers? Who's your quarterback? I'm just not at that point yet. Now, if they continue to lose and they're 4-13, I might feel differently by the end of the year, but just trying to be like practical. I think you have an all-in 2024 with a playoff plus mandate for the coach and GM, and you say, get it done or we're starting over. Because at that point, you'd want to clean house anyway.
Interesting. Matt, Saleh, Hackett, Douglas, back next year. Your thoughts?
Yeah, not really too surprising. I think when it comes to those three, as soon as Aaron Rodgers went down, the plan was for them to get another run at it in 2024. That's not to say that those guys don't deserve criticism. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett, especially with just how bad that offense has been, and Saleh and Douglas, I think both deserve criticism for how things have gone this year, but really not all that surprising that they're going to get another crack at it. And I think that's, goes back to show you what we talked about earlier here with the draft, that those guys, all three of them, need to win games. And I think that's why they'll be going with either an offensive lineman or a wide receiver in the draft. I think they should spend most of their free agency money on the offensive side of the ball. Pretty much the only thing I care about on defense is getting Bryce Huff back, extending Bryce Huff. And then beyond that, just bring back as much of the unit as you humanly possibly can and put all your assets and resources into the offense.
Ryan, regime's returning. How you feel?
Yep. Yeah, they're all going to return, and I think it makes the most sense. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is you get rid of these guys who I think most of the fan base would say, are you going to get an improvement on Robert Saleh or an improvement on Joe Douglas in the offseason that they have everything handcuffed to Aaron Rodgers, and you got to go all in? You're not going to get a top GM or a top head coaching candidate in here if you were to rip the Band-Aid off this year. Plus, I do think you owe it to Saleh and owe it to Douglas to let their plan play out. This was a 2-year window with Rodgers to start, and if everything goes well, they get that additional year. I think you give them next season, and then you just do a clean break. If it doesn't work out, or you roll into 2025 and you select your new quarterback maybe in the top of the draft that way, and then Rodgers looks like he might be able to play for an additional year, and you get your young quarterback sitting behind Rodgers for that one season. But I think everyone's coming back.
Look at that. All four of us in unison again. That was not planned. I love it. Rafi with, anyone know what currency that is?
No.
I've never seen that.
6 something. Thank you so much for the 6, whatever this is. I hate that I love such a miserable franchise. Well, Rafi, I think we can all appreciate that. And the one thing that I can say about Jets fans is we are not fair weather fans. We can easily say, you know what, this Jets team, they stink. I'm no longer a fan. I'm going to go root for this team or just not watch football. That's not us. We stay here all the way through the misery. It's what we are unfortunately comfortable with. And that's what I keep reminding people, because I think all 3 of you can relate to this. I started my YouTube channel in 2019. I know Ryan and Matt started theirs a couple years before mine. Jake, I'm not too sure when you started covering the Jets on your channel, but what my point is, we've all covered only losing seasons. You know what I mean? We don't know what it's like to cover a winning football team. And here we are, still doing what we do.
It's crazy.
Pain never stops, man. It never
Never
stops.
stops. Michael with the $10 says, listen, why not one of you mention Finn's defense ranked top 5? Uh-oh, they're coming for us.
Hold
Since
on.
Ramsey's return. We already saw what this offense did at the beginning of the year, how we ain't the same level as other AFC teams. Y'all hating.
Mac Jones, Tim Boyle, Aiden O'Connell, and a Chiefs game in London. That's your top 5 defense. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Here's what I would say to the Dolphins. Beat the Ravens, beat the Cowboys. You play them down the stretch. You want me to change my opinion that you're a good team, not a great Super Bowl contender? Win one of those games. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you got to beat a good football team. You haven't. I don't want to hear you beat the Denver Broncos when they started 1-5. Oh, we put 70 on them. Cool. That's awesome. They're not the same team they were. So, like, they're a good team, but we're more than fair. You haven't won a playoff game since 2000. So let's see you guys actually go out there and prove it against good teams in the regular season, and then prove it in the playoffs. And I'd be happy to say I was wrong. But until I see that, I can't anoint them in the same level as some of these other contending teams in the NFL.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I loved how passionate he got, because that's what I felt. I was like, are we really going to victory lap Tim Boyle and Aiden O'Connell? Both of those guys should not be starting. And Mac Jones should not be starting. Patrick Mahomes, sure. But as Ryan mentioned, there was a game in London. And that was one game, and you still lost. You lost 21-14. So I don't know. If you do it to Lamar or Dak, both those guys have been playing out of their mind, then yeah, we're probably buying in and saying, yeah, this is a legit team, but we just haven't seen it yet.
Truth hurts, Dolphins fans. Sorry to break it to you guys. But the reality is, you just got to prove it before you can talk the talk, right? You have 8 wins, and the one thing I give the Dolphins all the credit in the world for is this. Something that the Jets have failed to do and the Bills have failed to do is beat the teams you're supposed to beat, right? That's what good teams do. But I've always said, what makes you a great team is beating the good teams, and they have not been able to do that. So I still think the Miami Dolphins have what it takes to beat the Ravens and beat the Cowboys and make a run in the playoffs, but they just have to prove it before it's going to convince any rival fan bases that they are capable of doing it, in all of our opinions. Dre, big dime, $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Dre. We appreciate the support. Richie, love this roundtable. The talent, passion, and intelligence is unrivaled. It's not outrageous to say y'all are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Appreciate all your insight. Goodbye, all Zach Truthers. Oh, my God. That's hilarious. It's calling us an apocalypse, and I couldn't relate more to that. I guess it's just this Jets fan base is just running around with, like, no heads on.
We just love the pain.
Dre, thank you so much for the $20. I mean, how are you guys handling the losing? just from a personal standpoint, just as like a fan, and of course, as a content creator, like how have you been able to balance 4 straight losses in a season that is just, disappearing before our very eyes, whether it's on X, Instagram, YouTube Live, or just even being a personal fan watching the games? Ryan, how have you been dealing with this this losing?
Yeah, it's just frustrating. It feels like our season was stolen from us. You have a great quarterback coming in with an elite defense. You knew last year that's all we needed, just some above average to average level quarterback play, and it gets stolen from us at the beginning part of the season. And it doesn't feel fair. I don't know why Jet fans, we get to have 2 Achilles injuries, just like, ruin our playoff chances on the first game of the season. So for me, I think the doom and gloom part happened at the beginning, and then it was like, okay, I just want to see us hold water enough to get Rodgers back. Like there was enough hope there that it could happen, and to just know that Hackett's not the offensive coordinator to try and boost the talent around him, to know that Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle and probably Trevor Siemian are not the quarterbacks needed to be able to get us to a point where we could take advantage of Rodgers' miraculous comeback. It's frustrating all the way around. I'm already looking at like draft prospects for next year. And I was really
you
hoping
made a whole video of a mock offseason. I was like,
Dude.
so impressed. I'm like, I cannot get my mind in the offseason right now. I was so impressed watching that video.
I could give 2 shits about the rest of the season. I'll be honest. I don't care about the Falcons game. I don't care about the Texans game. I don't care about any of this the rest of the way out because I'm not seeing anything of value. If you could tell me Carter Warren's going to ball out and I'm going to feel a little bit more confident about the tackle situation, like, okay. But like, how much am I really going to be able to diagnose with Tim Boyle back there with Hackett running it up the gut on 2nd and 10 every fucking play? I don't know. I don't like it. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough question, right? I'm asking how you're dealing with sadness. So, Matt, how are you to be dealing with it?
Drinking? No, not well.
How did I know that was gonna be your answer? I love it.
No, not well. It's really frustrating, and it gets old to go on the post games and just yell and scream. Like I'm kind of at the point where I just like shrug my shoulders. I'm like, I don't know. They didn't score points today. I don't know what you want me to say. Like I don't really have anything bad to say about this defense. I mean, big plays happen when they're trying to get crazy aggressive and steal possessions for this offense, but they haven't scored over 13 points in a month. So, yeah, I mean, we all know the problem.
It's just hilarious how it's so relatable. Like, I feel like I'm losing my mind every post game. And Jake, I'm sure you can agree. It's like we're saying the same thing over and over again. It's not like we're finding new ways to lose. We're losing the same way every week. So, how have you been handling it, Jake?
This has been easily like the hardest season of being a fan of any of my teams I could remember because I think it was Ryan who made the point, and he's right. We were robbed of a season. We were robbed. Like we weren't supposed, like if the Jets ended up failing, all right, like Brett Favre got hurt, but at least we got to see that it was working when they were 8-3 before he played through the injury that clearly derailed that year. Like this was supposed to be a year where, maybe they don't win the Super Bowl, but we're in the mix. We're relevant. We have a chance to make the playoffs. We're an exciting offense, and we got robbed of it 4 plays into the season. So it's criminal, man. Especially when you look at how mediocre the AFC is, and how if the Jets just had a couple more wins right now, we'd be going nuts with the chance of Rodgers actually coming back down the stretch and winning a few games to get in. So it's incredibly frustrating because a lot of these problems you can't predict. Rodgers is going to get hurt, on the 4th play and be done for likely the whole season. But you could have had a better backup plan going into the year. You could have had a better backup plan after week 1 or before the trade deadline, et cetera. It's painful, man. It's really tough because when you actually watch every game like we do and the diehards do, you see there's so much talent on this roster, and the 4-7 record is not an accurate representation on what we've seen. And that just sucks. It really does as a fan. There's another way to put it.
Absolutely. It's painful, and we were robbed. 4 snaps in. It's literally felt like this whole time we've been pranked by something. I don't know, the NFL, or there's something like you can't describe the momentum of the Jets season leading up to week 1. Like you can't. I don't think we'll ever, and it's sad to say this, I really don't believe we'll ever have that type of hype heading into a season, and reasonable hype too. It wasn't like this delusional fairy tale, all of us trying to convince ourselves that this is going to be a special season. Like we had every reason to believe that this is going to be something spectacular. He got ripped away at 4 snaps. He's got to laugh at it. And like the way I deal with it, man, like I'm just like Matt said, I'm numb to it. Like on my live reactions now, like during that Dolphins game, I'm sitting there just stunned and laughing through the pain instead of like frustrated and just yelling and, getting on rants and stuff. And I've noticed that, our negativity is selling because I made a rant video of a rant after the Jets lost against the Dolphins. And I don't get this amount of views, folks. I don't. I got like around 20,000 views on me ranting. And I'm like, I think 90% of these fans are not Jets fans, just want to soak in a Jets fan's miserable, like just misery. And I'm like, who are you 20,000 people watching me?
Yeah, I feel like Jet fans have kind of come to grips with like, all right, our team sucks and you're not going to see like much emotion. And then you get the rest of the fan bases that are like, I want to see his pain right now. What did my team cause you?
Oh, they love our pain. It's so sad. Hennessy says Miami fans' response, but you guys suck. It's true. I mean, what else do they got to say? Because we do suck at the end of the day.
No lies.
No lies detected. Now, to finish up, we got 5 minutes left of the show. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Let's get into this quick little preview of the game of the week. Jets, Falcons, Tim Boyle. Oh, God. All right. Tim Boyle and the Jets offense. How are they going to somehow, some way score points? Matt, how? Do you think they're going to lose this game? The spread's 3. Is there any sliver of chance that the Jets can snap their 4-game losing streak? Or are you just like, nope, not even going to convince myself?
Is the spread 3 or is the over under 3?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. No, it like, remember Salah's first to 20 quote? It might be like a first to 16 quote. Now it's been bumped down a few points. I think both Tim Boyle and Desmond Ridder are going to turn the ball over a couple of times in this game. I think whichever one of those quarterbacks limits turnovers more will win. I think you're looking, it's a coin flip. I think 16-13, 16-10, something like that. Could the Jets win it? Yes, they can, absolutely. But I don't have the confidence to say, yes, they're absolutely winning this game after the absolute horrific show we've seen on the offensive side of the ball for the last month plus. So I guess I'll take the Falcons 16-10, but yes, the Jets could win if they find the way into the end zone.
This is so sad because it's so true. Jake, your overall thoughts of this game leading up to it? Any optimism of winning, or you're just completely sold out again?
I actually could see them winning because I don't think they're going to lose their last 6. So there's going to be a win or two. I think that happens. I don't think the Jets are nearly as bad as they played. They're probably not as good as they were when with Zach Wilson somehow were able to be, 4-3. So this is a winnable game. They're at home. The weather's supposed to be crappy. Desmond Ritter's terrible. The Jets should be getting 3 offensive linemen back from injury potentially. Maybe they can run the ball a little better. Maybe Breece Hall has a breakout game for the first time in a while. He's certainly due for one. So I could see this being ugly. I could see this being, 10-7, 13-10 type of thing. And since I don't think the Jets are going to lose out, this is one of the few games that they have left they probably could win. So I'll pick them. But do I feel good about the pick? Absolutely not.
Ryan, how about you, man?
I saw before I came on here, I was watching a Jets Falcons preview, and one of the analysts predicted 3-2 Falcons. And that's exactly where I feel this is going to come from. Like, unless the Jets defense scores some points or the special teams comes alive, like there's no way we're going to put any points up on the board. It's just really frustrating to watch because I just have no faith in this offense. I have no faith in this play caller. I have no faith in this quarterback. It's all on the defense. If the defense can create turnovers, like Matt said, whoever has the most turnovers, I think ultimately wins the game because you'll wind up in plus territory and you can kick a field goal. I think that's the only way the Jets are going to be getting points this week. So I think it's a coin flip, but I think we're not going to see anything offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the path of victory is unfortunately asking the defense to do everything for us. Remember, how do we beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Defense. And I don't know how we beat the Eagles, but we did. And that's kind of what I've grown to learn about this team is we have 4 victories on the backs of our defense, and we can all agree that it's not sustainable to just have a good defense and an incompetent offense. You got to score points in this league to win football games. But with a great defense that the Jets do have, you can still win some games and steal some, not in a way to go make a playoff run, but still finish the season around, 5 to 7 wins, which I think the Jets are on their way to doing. So I do think that this is one of those games that the Jets have a chance to win simply because of the defense. I think that, this is going to be a big test for the Jets defense in terms of stopping the run, because the Falcons have a very good offensive line and a very good running tandem of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. So that's the only defensive matchup that I'm concerned about. And when it comes to the offense, what more is there to say? I did not see anything from Tim Boyle that would make me believe that this offense is going to start clicking. The one thing I was hopeful about Tim Boyle last week is that he can process things quickly, get the ball out fast, but then when the pressure's there, he just gets sacked. There's no athleticism. So I don't know. He just got to really get the ball out fast, be smart with the football, hopefully run the ball, because I think that is such an underrated part of this offense that not a lot of people are talking about, to why this offense has been so bad, is not only is the quarterback play putrid, but the running game, starting with the offensive line and the running backs, has been terrible as well. So it's just been an overall mess. And of course, there's blame to go everywhere, to Hackett, to Robert Saleh even, and to all the players. So it's just an incompetent mess. But we shall see. I do have the Jets winning 10-3 because that's my optimistic self, but I do not feel good about it at all. So let's get into these final super chats. Who has the Cowboys beat? Just wondering.
Beat us. We're a good team.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And also, who's here saying the Cowboys are going anywhere?
Nah, I don't think.
I think they're better than the Dolphins, but you want to say they haven't beaten anyone, fine. But who do I trust more? I actually think that the Cowboys have a better team than Miami.
Agreed.
Boom. Roasted. Glenn, a great supporter of this AFC East Roundtable. He says, I say get rid of coaches, 15-30 record, trade players to get the Carolina pick if possible, get a franchise QB, ask Houston it matters, rebuild Rodgers, not answer. You know what Glenn recommends that we do, which is, it's hilarious. He's a Dolphins fan, by the way. He wants us to trade Sauce Gardner to move up to the first pick to get Caleb Williams.
That's not enough.
No way.
And I would never do that, but that's not even enough anyway.
No,
like
I would not make
package
that
Sauce
trade
and
up.
picks.
Pass.
I'll go off on something I went off on Tuesday, and I don't want this regime to start mortgaging away the future for stuff they're not going to be here for. We got plenty of cap space. We got plenty of draft picks that the Jets can handle what they need to this offseason with that stuff. If they start talking about trading away a 2025 first to move up for a quarterback that they're not going to, live through, and if they have to turn to him after this year, I don't want that. I don't want to trade up at all.
Yeah, it's we shall see. There's a lot of time leading up to the draft. Guys, that's going to wrap up the first ever episode of the Jets Roundtable. This was a great time. I know Ryan, Matt, and Jake very well, so I was excited to get them together on a show for the first time here on the AFC East Roundtable, presented by Roundtable Sports Network. We're excited to continue the expansion of this, and I'm excited to continue to do this with you fellas. Now, folks, don't forget to hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Let's get this to 200 likes before the show wraps up. Jake, you want to let the people know about what you got cooking up on your channel this week?
Sure. Daily Jets Talk. We will commiserate together, a post-game show right after Jets Falcons, and it might be a win, it might not. Either way, we will be there talking all about it.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, over on Matt O'Leary NY, we're talking Jets every single day. Reaction to press conferences, games, all that good stuff. Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise, and we're talking about a New York Jets win and the Tim Boyle show coming to life on Sunday. How about that?
I hope so. Maybe Ryan's phrase of "let Tim Boyle" will come to life on Sunday. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, you let Russ cook. You got to let Tim Boyle. Nah, Timmy Simmers is not going to create any offense. I'll be doing the post game, but I'm already turning my attention closer towards the draft and some draft prospects. The Oregon Ducks and Washington Huskies are playing Friday night. I'm going to sit and watch that and kind of keep an eye on all the draft prospects, not just the quarterbacks, but the draft prospects that are available that might be of interest, wide receivers, offensive linemen, things of that nature, and just try to watch some competent football because I haven't gotten any in quite some time.
Interesting stuff, man. Awesome episode. It seems like the chat is very supportive, and we appreciate you guys supporting the show, whether you're a Jets fan, Dolphins fan, Patriots, Bills, or neither of the four, and you're just an NFL fan in general tuning in. We appreciate all your support. My name's Richie from Jets Media. That's Ryan. That's Matt. That's Jake. We are out of here. First episode of the Jets Roundtables in the books. Peace out, guys.